individuals or corporates may have acted as inspiration for our own.
It is always okay to not
Let's talk about concussions.
That's a tale for another time.
Thank you.
I guess you can call me a poet, but you should know that my poetry often does not rhyme or follow certain structural frames. And for this, some say my poetry is not poetry. My words are deviant, abrupt, unpredictable. I am unacceptable. I am unapologetic. I refuse to conform to any structure, especially those with origins rooted in my exclusion. My poetry can be soft, inspiring, comforting, but more often than not, it is also angry, aggressive, and passionate. My poetry is everything society tells me not to be, but also deems me to be. A box the shape of the color of my skin that I cannot escape from. Stereotypes written behind my words so that no matter how soft I speak, I still remain the angry Black girl. My poetry often collides with itself and does not always make sense, just like the complexities of my identity. My poetry belongs to the once Venetine Virgile, to the now Jolie Brownell, to the Haitian born, to the American citizen. Am I two people in one, or am I one person split into two? My poetry is my messy attempt in piecing myself together, while at the same time refusing to ever be broken. My poetry is my trauma of separation, my endless coping strategy trying to accept the fact that my mother is not my mama, my father not my papa. My poetry is my adoption, my immigration, my Blackness, my oppression. It is my intersection of chaos, beautiful in my own way. Yet because of the way that I write my poetry, I have some come up to me and say, I do not understand what your poetry is speaking to. And to this, all I have to say is that is okay. Because sometimes some words are not meant for you. Some spaces are enclosed and are not entitled to you. Some forms of healing not required for you. For some, it is a privilege not to understand my poetry. But for fun, let's call me a poet. Good afternoon. My name is Jolie Brownell, and as you can see, I write poetry. I have a few pieces I would like to share with you today that center around the core parts of my identity, including what it means to be a woman, regarding, of course, the construct of binary that we live in, but also what it means to be a Black woman, and finally, what it means to be an adopted Black woman. So really looking at intersectionality and what that means. If you're unaware of that term, I urge you to write it down and look it up afterwards, with the name Kimberly Crenshaw afterwards, because you'll get a really good definition. So today I really want to look at the questions of how do we envision ourselves? Who do we understand ourselves to be? And how do the intersections of our identities impact the way that we walk through this world, but also how we are perceived by this world? My first poem, or second, is about beauty standards and being a Black woman, and it's called Beauty and the Beast. Is it wrong to want to be seen as beautiful, to be seen as desirable, to be sought after. Because every time I want a compliment, like you are beautiful, I instead have people come up and tell me, I am afraid of you. I used to get compliments on my high cheekbones, but now, more often than not, I am told to watch my tone. And when I do get a compliment, it's always along the lines of, you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl, when you would never say, you're pretty for a white girl in pearls. It's like light skin is still in, and well, I'm out. And when they do cast a dark-skinned girl, it's the super skinny Lupitas they want. And so back again, I am told they are what we want, and well, you're not. It's like when it comes to beauty, I am mistaken for the beast. I cut my hair, and your fear in me increased. My body now so natural, so primitive, so animalistic, I am deemed unnatural in this airbrushed, perfect, so-called progressive world we live in. Are my features so striking that I scare you? Is my black body's presence so intense that if I do not greet you smiling, then that automatically means I am angry? But am I, as a human being, not at least afforded the benefit of the doubt? And have you ever considered that your discomfort in my presence scares me too? Because every time I sense your fear, I feel a tad less beautiful, a tad less desirable, and a little bit more unlovable. My following poem really comments on the angry black girl stereotype, and I call it, Tell Me Where to Put My Anger. I have been told that there is no room for my anger, no room for anger in this black body, no room for anger in my adopted family, no room for anger in this unsustainable world economy. So tell me where to put my anger. Should I cut my anger up into pieces? Cut me into pieces so that I may be served to you more nicely. Have my anger be made more digestible for you, more palatable. Will that make you take my anger more seriously? Or maybe I should wrap my anger into a smile, because for what I've been told, you have such a pretty smile. You should smile more. Will my smile make my anger more approachable? Make my anger more acceptable? Or maybe I should simply swallow it down and keep my anger down while simultaneously forcing out a laugh. If so, then please excuse me if any contents of my anger are thrown up with such a fake ha-ha. I'm doing fine, things are great. Because you see, in most spaces, there is just no room for my anger. My anger is too intense. My anger is too uncomfortable. My anger too dismissible. And so I am left to hold my anger, to create space within myself to contain, harbor, and silence my anger. But what if I don't want my anger anymore? Because she weighs so much of me, so much so that my head feels heavy. My lungs are heavy. My body too heavy. Because you see, my anger is part trauma. My anger drives my passion. My anger is multifaceted. It is my defense mechanism. It is my call for help. It is my deep, deep desire to just be held. It is my growing understanding of our flawed world, of oppressive systems. It is my call to action. My anger is my way of validating my existence. And it is as much a part of me as my joy. So please, do not ever tell me where I can and cannot put my anger. My last poem talks about adoption. And I think the taboos around adoption that I don't think we talk about enough, especially trauma. And I call this poem, Dear Mother. Dear Mother, I was barely 3 when you turned your back on me. You left me cradled in prayers of a better life that I could not yet see. Dear Mother, I cannot remember the last time you hugged and kissed me. Dear Mother, how did you not see that I'd rather starve to death in your arms than to be fed and left forever feeling empty? Now I am left with the haunting question of, did you ever want me? Dear Mother, I am angry. Angry at whatever forced your hands to let go of me. Dear Mother, did you fail me? Or was it the world who failed you? Because you see, my mother is like a lot of other mothers we see. Crossing foreign borders, we see them hold their children's hands so tightly. While my mother had to release me into the universe, praying that I fall into hands that are loving and more wealthy. These mothers cross borders and battlefields just to bring their children to safety. Both mothers making do with the injustices stacked up against them. Both mothers trying to do what is best for their families. Yet both mothers still deemed unfit and undeserving. Dear Mother, they say that it was your choice to place me for adoption. But was it truly your choice? Or were you forced? Dear Mother, I too was taken away from you. But I was taken by much larger hands of the forces of colonization, imperialism, and neoliberalism. Because the reason why you could not take care of me, the state of your current poverty, is the result of a generation of white greed, white supremacy. The first world came in and filled your government up with corruption, with the lie saying that they're trying to build a democracy. They forced your economy into agreements that locked your country into debt, while simultaneously devaluing your currency. Now your country so unstable that you can no longer raise your family. Dear Mother, I too was taken away from you. Because this is the hidden violence of transnational adoption. Trauma of separation, whether through deportation or adoption, is the same violence. The separation of families is a psychological genocide on Black and brown bodies, on Black and brown children, all rooted in racism that is strategically kept hidden. Hidden through narratives that somehow these children are better off without their unfit mothers, and placed into new, white, loving hands. This is the root of white saviorism. This is the hidden root of adoption. Dear mother, I love you. Thank you.